World of Warcraft is a game in 2025. It's an MMORPG. It's arguably the greatest defining MMORPG of all time. I don't have a lengthy history of World of Warcraft for you guys to listen to. I played years ago as a Night Elf Rogue. I played until Panda Express arrived, and I don't know what happened. I saw that Panda nerd doing fucking partial arts and decided that Warcraft had moved on and that it had moved on without me. And so I left. Until now.
The year is 1991. Birds and people are living together in seemingly perfect harmony. Until one day, a young man catches fire. This is Phoenix.
Well, I think the Paladin feels like a Paladin. And I know that sounds dumb to say out loud, but I have some Paladin experience in other MMOs, as well as Dungeons & Dragons, and two words come to mind: lawful and boring. Lawful in that I'm the good old eager beaver to run from one NPC to the next begging for charitable shit to do on their behalf. The boring bit comes in fast and hard with the lazy man's auto attack, all stacked to the gills with a menagerie of look what I can do abilities to keep me from seeing the loading screen. Now, don't get it fucked up. That's paladins. I'm not bitching, nor am I upset. That is literally how paladins be in most video games. Good guy smite evil, armed to the teeth with holy shit and righteous kerfuckery to keep the HP bar full and the enemy hitting fuck all but a wall of pious knightly goodness. Basically what I'm trying to say is that I'm having fun and I like the paladin. Alright, what else? Oh yeah. Why are we starting in Westfall as opposed to running through the newbie zone? Well, I had originally started as a mage on a classic era server. It had a very low population, and I was left scratching my chin wondering how this game was so damn popular with so many low population servers. What I wasn't aware of nor prepared for was all the different ways that you can play World of Warcraft. I also wasn't aware that I had to install different versions of the fucking game. Ugh. Classic, Anniversary Classic, Hardcore Classic, Retail Cataclysm, and there is a distinct possibility that I am wrong in this stupid mess of Warcrafts, whatever. Anyway, I wanted to play on a more populated server, so I re-rolled to a classic anniversary server, Dream Scythe, and then created a poll on my channel offering up the character classes I was interested in playing, and the human paladin won. So here we are, all armed to the teeth and holy shit, and ready to handle Westfall by smiting it upside down ass crack. Westfall, the Karana of Azeroth, is, well, very similar in regards to its peasant population. Apart from that, they are nowhere near each other in both size in favor of Karana and content in favor of Westfall, but the feels are about the same. Upon arriving in Westfall, I am immediately greeted by two field dwellers who are down on their luck. They just so happen to be the poor people who got their house deed stolen from the Defias bandits back in Elwyn. Being the good boy that I am, I hand over the deed and they're grateful but still plan to leave southern Ohio for greener pastures. But before they can, they have a menagerie of shit that needs doing. Farmer Furlbrow forgot his pocket watch like a ding-dong and now the house is crawling with bandits, and he needs to have it back, so naturally I agree to retrieve the precious. Seeing that I'm an eager young adventuring paladin, his wife Virna decides that she can also waste my time with some busy work of her own and requests that I deliver a recipe of Westfall stew to a neighbor and also gather oats from the nearby every place for their fucking horse. I be paladin, so I agree. I have no idea where any of these things be, so I decide to test the waters of combat on a few of the local vermin, and then make my way to the neighboring farm to deliver the recipe of Westfall's stew. You ain't never gonna make it to the Wizard of Oz, nerd. Have divine justice upside thine ass crack. Goddamn. And wouldn't you know it, both the farmer, Saldine, and his wife, Selma, have things that need doing. But first, the recipe. Selma accepts the recipe and immediately wants me to venture out and gather the things to kickstart this hillbilly barbecue. She needs 8 Gortusk livers for her peasant-famous liver pie, and then a whole mess of shit for the Westfall stew. I'm a dumbass who loves to make the poor people in video games smile, so I agree. Anything else, lady? You want me to hit up the Dollar General while I'm out? You know, maybe pick up a pack of fucking cigarettes? Yeah, duh. Farmer Saldine's farm has been overrun with harvester golems, and he thinks if I kill 20 of them, it's gonna make a difference. It won't, but I like killing things, so I accept. Farmer Saldine also doubles as a vendor, so that's nice. I decide to beat up one of the lower level harvesters at the next farm over, but they aren't the harvesters that I'm looking for apparently, so I decide to focus my efforts on killing Gortusk boars. During my boar fest, I spot another player get dropped like third period French, and decide to try and resurrect her. It works, and she is thankful. I celebrate my good deed by having a drink. Paladin stuff. Afterwards, I go back to killing with the power of 2 buttons and ding level 13. Goddamn. And I'm beginning to understand that the RNG of Classic World of Warcraft is very similar to the RNG of Classic EverQuest. Your quest items have a chance to drop somewhere between 10 to 100 enemies slain. Now, I know that this is a big ugh for most players or most gamers, but I come from EverQuest and I also enjoy old school RuneScape, so grinding for bullshit or watching my character fish for hours on end is not a big deal for me. With a shiny new level under my belt, I decide to check in on Sentinel Hill because I have a quest to report to some nerd from Dugan back in Goldshire. I take the long way because I don't know my way around Peasantville. Brian Stoutmantle is happy to see me and awards me with 2 silver pieces for traipsing across a cornfield, and then decides that I'm the guy to ask to murder 30 bandits, 15 trappers, and 15 smugglers for the tremendous reward of 5 silver pieces. So, if we look at this from a monetary perspective, I was paid 2 silver pieces just to walk here, and the lives of 30 bandits is worth 5 silver. Interesting indeed. Well, now that we all have a firm grasp on the value of the homeless, let's move on. He doesn't need any proof, by the way, so I guess we are questing via the honor system, but I assure him that I am a trustworthy hero and agree to go on a killing spree. Loitering nearby is Captain Dan, who hates gnolls. Dan and I are now friends. Dan asks if I can go clean up this gnoll-forsaken shithole he calls home by murdering gnolls and collecting 8 of their paws as proof of the deed. I have PTSD from Blackburrow and can't wait to beat the shit out of a bunch of laughing dogmen, so I accept. Inside the tower is Quartermaster Lewis, and he wants to teach me about fast travel. He has a letter that needs to be taken to Stormwind, and he's far too busy waiting for another player to run up and do the same shit to deliver it himself, and asks if I'll deliver it for him. He tells me to meet up with Thor, the Griffin Master, who is conveniently right outside, and take a magic birdie ride to deliver the letter to Stormwind. But on my way to Griffin Master Thor, I spot Scout Galleon, and he has a problem with the Defias bandits. Oh, those wacky Defias. Anyway, Galleon knows that they wear red bandanas and asks if I'll go murder some bandits because reasons. I mean, I'm already going to be killing them, I might as well get rewarded twice. As I approach Thor, I get a pop-up that says New Flight Path Discovered. I remember this from playing years ago and know that to fly somewhere you must first arrive there on foot to discover that there is an easier way. Which sounds like a real asshole thing to do to someone now that I've said it out loud. Regardless, I pay the fee and take a magic birdie ride to Stormwind. And I gotta be honest here, I like the bird ride. A whole new world, a fucking magic birdie ride. All my kids are in bed, it's late as fuck, and now I woke the baby. I'm AFK, because here comes the wife aggro. Fuck. Back in Stormwind, I delivered the letter to Osric Strang at the Limited Immunity Armory. Great name for an armory, by the way. Anyway, Osric reads the letter and isn't surprised that the peasants of Westfall need more help, and requests that I return with a delivery of MacGuffins to the fighting men and women of southern Ohio. I agree because the rewards experience to say yes. Before leaving Stormwind, I decide to hit the bank and drop off the majority of my engineering garbo of bolts, copper, and stone. So let's discuss inventory space in Warcraft real quick. Well, to be completely honest, it's exactly like Classic EverQuest. The only difference being instead of having a default inventory that you fill with bags to get more space, in Warcraft you have a main bag and then slots to add additional bags to suit your hoarding needs. I got lucky and managed to find 4 additional 6-slot bags while conquering Elwyn Forest, and I'm still always out of fucking bag space. So basically, regardless of your newbie efforts, you are gonna have to visit a merchant often or bank shit from time to time to keep pace with the swath of miscellaneous bullshit you'll be gathering off of the fallen nerds. Anyway, back to the adventure. After having the bank nerd hold a bunch of shit that I'll probably forget about, I head back to the Griffin Master and retake the bird ride towards Westfall. Oh, so far this is like my favorite thing in Warcraft, except for maybe the troll quest where like I gotta hit fuckers with a bat, but also this. Returning to Westfall, I decided to try and tackle my questing grocery list from top to bottom, and tried to start with the gore tusk liver pies. I concentrated my efforts around the Furlbrow pumpkin patch, which spawned a few gore tusks, defies bandits, and harvester golems that actually count towards Farmer Saldine's Kill the Farm equipment quest. Also, the house on the farm was my guess for the location of Farmer Furbrow's missing watch. Things were going pretty good. I was killing a bunch of things for multiple quests all centered around this one little farm. And then I met Ulysses. Ulysses was fighting two bandits at once. I buffed his pet, and he immediately invited me to a group. I had yet to group with anyone in the game other than to kill Hogger back in Elwyn, and they basically murdered the Knoll, GG'd, and disbanded instantly. This was different, a questing buddy. He a wizard of dark magic and I a paladin of the light. I know, it's an unlikely pair, but let's get some things clear. Warlocks are armed to the gills with damage over time spells, a pet, and the ability to drain life from their opponents and create little life stones that act as emergency potions, all while having their void critter punch enemies in the face. Basically, the Warlock is the EverQuest Necromancer. So, with Ulysses being able to do all of that badassitude, my role was to... You know what, other than heal, I couldn't tell you why he wanted me around. I'm slow at killing, suck at holding aggro, and have no clue what I'm doing other than read quest log and try to figure out what next. But I am hard to kill, so that's nice. Our dynamic was pretty straightforward. He brings the murder, I keep us alive, and wave my weapon at the bad guys menacingly. It was time to send some villains to Jesus. Armed with the powers of the Holy Light and Necro Hoodoo, we managed to complete most of the quests on my honeydew list, and I had made a friend. We added each other and parted ways for the evening. Upon returning to turn in my Oats for Old Blanchy quest, a higher level character asked me if I wanted a boost in DM. I don't do drugs, so I refused. Stay in school, kids. I'm just kidding. I believe this means a run through the Dead Mines, which is a dungeon that I'm creeping up on being able to attempt. A boost, I'm assuming, is being carried through the dungeon to get better gear and some XP that I have no business getting at the moment. I refuse because I want to earn it. I don't want to be carried on my first attempt through a dungeon. Now, if that's how you play the game, that's fine. Play the way you want, nerd. But I'm new here and I want to win off the sweat of my own deeds. Or at the very least, try to be a useful member of any group that I join to face down a dungeon. I had reached level 14 during my time with Ulysses and decided to place my 5th point into Divine Intelligence and then turn in the remainder of my quests. Then return to Stormwind to train in my new Paladin spells, Blessing of Wisdom, which offers mana over time, and an upgrade to my Healing Light spell to rank 3. Also, during my time with Ulysses, I had received a two-handed sword while decimating the pumpkin patch and dropped 10 silver to learn how to wield the damn thing, and then took it out for a spin against the critters of Westfall. This sword is an actual wooden training sword by all accounts, but it hits like a truck compared to the one-handed mace I had been wielding. Sure, it was slower, but with Seal of the Crusader, which increases my attack speed, it felt pretty damn sweet to bonk a nerd for big damage. While in Stormwind, I had been struck by lightning and received a buff called Rallying Cry of the Dragon Slayer. I have no idea how this occurs, but I'm glad it's here, because it is a big damage and crit buff that lasts for 2 hours. I decided to utilize it to beat the brakes off the local Murloc population and finish gathering the remaining weird shit for Lady Saldine's stew. Mrs. Saldine was overjoyed to throw all of this crap into her witch's cauldron, and as a reward gave me the cooking recipes for both the pig liver pie and the Westfall stew. I'll never make either of them, but it was a kind gesture. I had put it off long enough. It was time to go knoll hunting. I had spotted an area earlier in my travels that housed a few scattered gnoll camps and decided to try to edge out the stragglers that wandered too far from the camp. And things were going pretty good. So good, in fact, that I found another magic two-handed sword that was faster than the wooden training sword, and I quickly put it to work against the gnolls of Westfall. It is here upon the golden fields of yore that I, Oswick, Paladin of the Light, will smite thine heathen dog scum upside thine ass crack with the powers of Jesus. Although the quest only required 8 pawls in total, I managed to kill enough of them to reach level 15 and place my first talent point into spiritual focus, giving me a 14% chance to not lose casting time if struck while casting my healing spell. Afterwards, I returned to Sentinel Hill and handed over proof of the deed to Captain Dan and received a shiny new belt. I was feeling pretty good about my leveling pace as a holy knight, but felt it was time to take a trip back to Stormwind and train my professions. I had reached near level 75 skill with almost all of them, and figured since I was in between a spell level, I would spend my remaining silver on purchasing new recipes.
And Saint Antela raised the hand grenade up on high, saying, O Lord, bless this thy hand grenade, that with it thou mayst blow at thine enemies to tiny bits, in thy mercy. And the Lord did grin, and the people did feast upon the lambs, and sloths, and carp, and anchovies, and orangutans, and breakfast cereals, and fruit bats.
With all of my skills upgraded and the skill cap increased for all of them, I decided to bank all of my engineering things, again, because I don't know what to hang on to or vendor, and so far I've just been winging it. So there's that. I'm sure they're going to come in handy at some point. Maybe. Anyway, with all the profession shit sorted, I decided to take a stroll around Stormwind and see if maybe there were some quests in the city. In the Dwarven district, there was a gnome looking for an intact sprocket thingy for the Deadmines dungeon. I'm getting close to being able to try that out, so I decided to accept and save it for later. Then, in the Cathedral district, I encountered a guy who misplaced his compass in a house back in Westfall, and he was offering me 7 silver pieces to retrieve it for him. You guys remember how much it pays to kill 30 people? 7 silver for a compass? I'm in. After strolling around a bit, I couldn't find anyone else that had shit that needed doing, so it was time to get back out there and slay villains for loot and experience like God intended. For absolutely no reason, I ran around Westfall unlocking the map and noticed a tower in the distance, and I decided that I would see if I could get there. Spoiler, I could, and it happened to be a lighthouse. And at the lighthouse was a ghost who has a problem with murlocs. I mean, let's be honest, murlocs suck ass, so the ghost has a point. Anyway, I picked up all of his quests, and they were all a bit higher level than me, so I decided I'd just hang on to them for now. From the lighthouse, I was close to Moonbrook, which is a small, rundown town that is occupied by Defias nerds, and they just so happen to be the Defias nerds that I have to kill for Soldier Boy back at Sentinel Hill, so I started picking off the sick ones. Then I met Grumblesquee. Grumble was being chased by bandit a-holes, and like a good religious man, I inserted myself into the situation without being asked. Together, we managed to fight off the bandits, and I asked if Grumble would like to group. Grumble said she only had 1 bandit left to kill for her quest, and I had to kill a bunch. But Grumble is a Chad and said she could spare a few minutes and we could get my quest done together. Grumble is a warlock, so you know what time it is. With the quest done, we parted ways, and I returned to Gryan to tell him the good news. But his lust for bandit blood cannot be so easily sated. Murder 25 more nerds, come on, bro. Oh shit, I need that sword. Never mind, sir. I will kill for you. The newest bandit quest was also out of my league in the level department, so I decided to do the Keeper of the Flame quest that the Lighthouse Ghost had offered. He needed 5 flasks of oil, and I knew they dropped off of the harvesters, so I went back to the old farmstead and started beating the shit out of farm equipment. And by that, I mean heal this guy while he's being mauled and trying to cast black magic. Fight all of these monsters that were chasing a night elf that aggroed to me after I buffed her. Resurrect this lady who got overwhelmed by bandits, and then kill the bandits in the house so she could loot the pocket watch for Farmer Ding Dong. You know, Paladin stuff. I did, however, manage to get the 5 oils for Ghost Diddy at the lighthouse, but before returning to turn in the quest, we gotta talk about a secret quest. So I combed through my footage, and for the life of me I can't find who told me to /chicken at the chickens for a secret quest, and to buy special chicken food from Farmer Saldine. So there I was, right beside the good old farmer, clucking like a retard over and over to this damn bird, and nothing was happening. I may have lost my patience for just a second. Am I getting fucking trolled?
Cluck, cluck, cluck. Buck, buck, buck. How about I buck thee upside thine bird-ass, nerd?
Yeah, anyway, there are more chickens nearby, so I kept trying, and may have given the chickens an ultimatum because I'm dumb and like to talk to my computer. Now you listen to me, you little peckerheads. I'm gonna balk each of you 10 times, and if you don't cough up the goods, I'm gonna bust out the hot sauce. Capiche? But luck was with me, and the 3rd chicken became friendly and offered the quest. Only when I was trying to read the quest, the dialogue dropped and the chicken went back to being neutral. I suppose stupid me for trying to read in a fucking MMO. But while on my way back over to original recipe, 2 dwarves were singing the song of their people, and a question mark appeared above the chicken, allowing me to profit off of their balking. The reward is that the chicken lays an egg that you can loot and you get a chicken pet. I named him Crispy. After the chicken debacle, I traveled back towards Moonbrook, where the next batch of Defias bandits were located. I wasn't strong enough to fight them in force, but I was able to pick off the loners that wandered around the fields and anything else that happened to be in the area. I'm accustomed to grinding in games, so this was pretty relaxing to murder the indigenous of Westfall. During this time, I remembered that I had picked up the compass quest in Stormwind, and decided I'd see if I could fight my way to the nearby farm. I approached the barn thinking that maybe the compass was in there, but the door was guarded by 2 bandit a-holes, so I employed a tried and tested warrior strat to seize victory. That's right, nerds. The tactical ding strikes again. But the barn was full of more a-holes and I was forced to flee. I'm not sure why I checked the barn when the quest clearly mentions the burnt down house, but I did manage to recover and shimmy butt scooch behind enemy lines to loot the compass. Activate Holy Ninja Jutsu. I am now one with the shadows. The tactical ding had made me level 16, and I was eager to return to Stormwind for some shiny new Paladin stuff, and it took all of my monies. I thought that maybe if I smashed some engineering things together, I could vendor them for some silver, and while doing so, managed to get 100 engineering skill. And it unlocked the Flying Tiger Goggles as a recipe. And I need them. So, like any sensible adult, I abandoned everything else I was thinking about and ran to the bank to collect 2 of my tiger-eye gems. Then went to the auction house to try and buy some light leather on the cheap, and managed to be able to afford the 6 leather that I needed. The goggles were mine.
Singing low while I pop a bottle off of ya. Chain swinging, clang clang, and it costs a lot. Bitch, I'm always at the guala, yeah, and you are not badass beat. Keep on going till you hit the spot. Whoa, I'm a big bag hunter with the bow. She got a big bed, never drop it low. Mama called me and she happy with the grow.
Brooke, come here. I need a backup singer. No, come here. Don't like I'm trying to woo Set Strumpet. I need you to come here. I'm feeling the holy light. Every now and then I get a little bit stronger, but then I see the cost of my skills. Paladin. Every now and then I feel the light on my side, and all I do is auto attack. Paladin. Every now and then I fall apart, and I need the light tonight. I fucking need it more than ever. What do you think?
Now armed with the eyes of the tiger, I went back to Defias A-Hole Ridge and discovered another quest for Thunder Brew. I have no idea how to obtain it, so instead I went to work on the Defias of Ding Dong Ridge. The highwaymen were the strongest of the bunch, but I was winning, so I tried to pick and choose my fights as best I could. I was starting to get the hang of enemy aggro range and was able to body pull some of them away from their friends. Not every fight went as smoothly, but the rallying cry of the Dragon Slayer buff was active again, so by the powers of Jesus and anime, I was able to finally defeat the remaining bandits. I wasted no time getting back to Sentinel Hill to retrieve my new sword, and was actually surprised that Gryan the Butcher didn't have any more killing that needed doing.
Come on, Mr. Stoutmantle. You can't just give me the People's Blade and not have a nerd somewhere that needs killing. I'll work hard for you. Please, Mr. Mantle, sir. There's got to be somebody that needs some killing somewhere, right? No? Fine. I guess I'll just take my blade and go then. Take my reward and walk off into the night. You will call me, right?
The only other quest I had that was around my level was to head to a place called Lakeshire, and that's in the Red Ridge Mountains. To get there, I had to cross back through Elwyn Forest. I figured I'd return to Westfall at some point, but for now, my adventures led elsewhere. Thank you for watching, nerds. I want to talk about something that I have encountered a lot during my time here in classic World of Warcraft. And although I am a believer in play your way, at every turn I have been told by other players all of the add-ons I could be using to optimize my leveling, help me know what buttons to press, create macros to ease my leveling journey, pave the path for a success story via quest helpers so that I won't get lost and will know exactly what to do and where to go. And I suppose that is a surefire way to speedrun Warcraft if that is how you enjoy the game. And again, play your way, nerd, don't let me stop you. But I do have a question, and my goal here is not to piss people off. I'm just curious. When did efficiency become more important than immersion? I'm a returning player from many, many years ago. I have almost no memory of the zones, the quest, and all the little moments that exploring and getting lost in a vast fantasy world can provide. I don't want the most efficient path. I don't care about the meta way to play World of Warcraft. I care about fun. If you're speedrunning WoW because you're a 20-year veteran and that's your thing, and you've been there, done that, I say get after it, nerd. But for me, let me unravel the wonders of Azeroth. I'm gonna make mistakes, and that's okay.